All right, let's start with the Galatasaray Juventus game. This game was absolute cinema, pure cinema, man. I mean, the place was rocking, right? The atmosphere was incredible. Yeah, shout out to Turkey. Shout out to what they do in Istanbul. Galatasaray came to play, scored in the 15th minute, and then they conceded right after. But you could tell the atmosphere was really pushing them to go and score goals, and I think that actually left them overexposed in the back at times. And Juve took advantage of that. Coop Miners in particular. And then Coop Miners ended up putting Juve up 2-1. But afterwards, that's after coming out of the second half, like Galatasaray were still pumped. Juve kind of came down a level, and from there, the game was out of reach. Cabal ended up getting sent off like 20 minutes after he came on. Like, he got subbed on during halftime. And yeah, I mean, those are some kind of silly challenges, but yeah, I predicted Galatasaray winning. I predicted Juve crumbling, but not this much. 5-2. This is a huge result for Galatasaray. Massive, massive result. I mean, now you're talking about almost a surefire round of 16 appearance. You know, football is played on the day. Nothing is ever set in stone. But can you really see this Juventus team? You know, I think they put who they have at striker today, Kenny. So they didn't even have Jonathan David out there. And then you have Lloyd Kelly in the back. Do you trust Lloyd Kelly to guard Victor Osimhen again? You know what I mean? Bremer is injured, so who knows if he's back for the second leg. But you don't trust that Juventus back line, and your strikers you don't trust Openda, you don't trust Jonathan David. Yildiz, he's a great player, but he can only do so much. You know what I mean? And you got Galatasaray's offensive powers on the other side. Obviously Osimhen, but you have Noah Lang, you have Leroy Sané off the bench, Icardi off the bench, Burak Yilmaz. What a player Burak Yilmaz, by the way, was absolutely torching Juventus today. Yeah, man, I don't see a world where Juve can win, 3 or 4-0 and qualify. I think even if I think Juve could score 3 or 4 on this Galatasaray team. I really do, because I don't trust the Galatasaray defense either. But at the same time, I don't think they're keeping a clean sheet. It'd be a very special situation. But yeah, I mean, massive result for Galatasaray, and I think if you're a Galatasaray fan, maybe you could start to dream. You know, it's tough. I tweeted about this, but depending on the draw, if you end up drawing Spurs, if you're Galatasaray, because you have Liverpool or Spurs, that Spurs team just got Igor Tudor. For me, I don't think Igor Tudor is necessarily a big upgrade over Thomas Frank. It feels like a sideways step, but obviously it's a weird situation at Spurs because you're in the middle of the season, and you know no coach maybe wants to just step right into something like that. So your options were limited, but I feel like it's a sideways step, and I think if you're Galatasaray, you would be looking at Spurs like, yeah, we can beat that team. So now you're thinking, if you're a Galatasaray fan, now you might be thinking of a quarterfinals run. Who knows? And whoever you draw in the quarterfinals, that I'm thinking Barcelona, for example, right? It's like, well, if you got Barcelona, if the draw is right anyway, this Barcelona team leaves gaps all the time in the back. It's like, well, okay, let's go. You know what I mean? If you're any team in the UCL, you're looking at Barcelona like, yeah, we could definitely score on them at least. The rest of that defending, it's another story. But Galatasaray fans can start to dream. All in all, great game, great performance, especially from Osimhen. He only got 1 assist, but he was involved in multiple goals because he was bullying that Juventus back line. I guess I gotta shout out Davidson Sanchez for getting a goal. I was shitting on him. I was saying, do you trust Davidson Sanchez in the big 2-6? I still don't, but I gotta give him credit. He got his goal. Great result from Juve, and I think, yeah, it almost surely. I'm so confident they'll be in the round of 16. That'll be fun to watch. Fun to see one of those English teams go back to Turkey. I say go back because Liverpool obviously went to Galatasaray earlier in the season. But yeah, this is great win from Galatasaray. Great result. Now let's go to the next game. Let's actually want to cover Dortmund Atalanta real quick because I didn't really watch this game. I was focused on the other two games during this window, but I think I actually predicted a score like this, or maybe it was 2-1. But yeah, Dortmund yellow wall, and especially Garassi scores early. I saw that header, great header. He got up there, and yeah, you get to score early, close up the match, or put the pressure on the opponent early. Yeah, it's kind of GG's from there. Bayer putting them up 2-0 in the first half. Very good result for Dortmund. I don't see a way Atalanta return this because, you're looking at them offensively very weak. Who's going to be creating, like Zalewski? No, you know what I mean? And CDK, no CDK, that's tough. That's tough to deal with. So it's very hard, to see where the chances will come from for Atalanta. Yeah, great result for Dortmund. They could be looking for the knockouts. Who do Dortmund face? So they face either Arsenal or Bayern. I mean, you don't expect either of them to win that, but to win either of those. But hey, you do what you can, man. I think Dortmund getting to the round of 16 still is a good accomplishment. And yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy for Arsenal or Bayern, but you would expect Arsenal or Bayern to win that. But yeah, great result for Dortmund. You know, play the match on the day. And yeah, I could see them. I'm pretty confident this leg is or this tie is Dortmund's. Be very surprised if they don't qualify. Now let's talk about this Benfica Madrid game. Man, I mean, we all know the main story out of this, but let's talk about the game first, like the actual play on the pitch. At least up until the 50th minute, anyway, because Benfica had a few chances, outside the box, but Madrid had quite a few chances they should have converted. They probably should have left this game with at least one more goal, in my opinion. But hey, I think you still take the goal advantage at the end of the day. I was saying Madrid are not going to come back to Portugal and back to Lisbon the same way they did last time. They got vengeance on their mind. They were a lot more, clinical. I felt like, and just a lot more serious of a team. Like the way they appeared on the pitch, more organized. Obviously created lots of big chances. Trent, I think having Trent back was great. Balances the threat. There was a lot more threat coming from the right hand side than per usual, which makes Madrid a much more dangerous team, really. So, yeah, I'm not surprised at this result. I think I had Madrid winning by two. I think it was 3-1. I had it actually. But yeah, and I think if they converted one of those chances, I'd be sitting here like, yeah, yeah, man, listen to me. But hey, you'd still take the 1-0 lead back to the Bernabeu. I don't trust Benfica to turn that around. But let's talk about this game, okay? Because Vinicius scores this banger from the left hand side of the box on a counter. It was great goal, great goal. But then in the aftermath of the goal, Benfica's winger Prestiani allegedly says something racist. I almost like believe it. Like why would Vinny lie about that? You know what I mean? And all the other Madrid players were backing him too. But he says something racist, and he covers his mouth like this. Hopefully you can hear me as he says it. So you can't make out like his mouth saying those words. You just have to go off of Vinny's word, and it just makes me so furious and like upset because this is 2026. How are we still doing this? Like it's so embarrassing. Why are you resorting to that as a player? It tells you a lot about that person. And it sucks especially for Vinny because he gets painted as the villain and portrayed as the villain so often. And yeah, Vinny's a fiery person. He can be a hothead, but nobody deserves racism. You know what I mean? Like this is the lowest of the low. Like this is scum behavior, and it's just so annoying and upsetting that that you're doing stuff like that still as a person. And on top of that, like you have black players on your team, you have like black supporters, black fans. Like what? How do they feel? You don't think about how they feel. The people you play with every day and you practice with every day. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. And I like to see more extreme punishment. I think most people would like to just stomp it in the bud. That way, this stuff can get out of the game entirely. I think and they stopped the game afterwards for a long time. I don't really know what they were doing. I don't know if they were VAR checking or what. Like, what do you do in that situation? I don't know, but I like to see that player just get removed. And maybe you give the opposing team like a chance to substitute him. But it'd be nice to have that player removed, or you know. You could do like deduction, but it's weird because it's a knockout tie. So like, how would you deduct anything? But yeah, it's just so annoying to see this in the game still, and it's so upsetting that Vinny has to deal with this stuff and still get called out as a villain. It's ridiculous to me. It really is. But yeah, I'd like to see harsher punishment. I even thought Madrid should maybe just walk off the pitch because, like, you got to use your status for something, right? You are Real Madrid. You're the biggest club in the world. If you walk off the pitch in a UCL game, it's gonna carry a lot more weight than any other team doing it. So, yeah, I'd love to see some sort of action be taken. This is just ridiculous. It really is. It really is. And I guess smart on that guy for covering his mouth, because if he didn't cover his mouth, and like it's all over for him. You know what I mean? So I guess he was smart about it. Not that I'm commending him on that, but it's like, man, like I just wish there was some proof, that way everybody could really be in agreement. And people are gonna play this, oh, we don't know what he said card, and it's like, bro, come on, man. Like, Vinny's been dealing with this forever. Like, come on. Are we still gonna play that game? Are we still really gonna play that card? Nah, man. Gotta get this out of the game, man. This is ridiculous to see. This is 2026, bro. Football is for everyone, man. If you don't like it, don't play. Simple as that, man. Disgusting behavior. Absolutely disgusting. But yeah, good on Madrid, man, for getting this goal advantage. Go back to Bernabeu with a goal lead. I think they close it out. Most teams, like, it's like a team like Benfica. This is again one of the worst Benficas in years. Do not see how they could win at the Bernabeu. No chance. All right, let's talk about the last game of the day. This is obviously the most exciting game of the day just by the score, but this was crazy, okay? And I'm going into this game really excited. I went into this game super excited. I'm thinking PSG, man. All of the ups and downs that have happened recently in form and performance. It's like, man, now's the time to put your foot down and set the record straight. That first 25 minutes, man. Nah, the record was anything but straight. Let me tell you, okay? First off, conceding a goal in a minute, never a good sign for any team. I mean, that goal was poorly conceded. Nino Mendes misses the switch. It happens, but you got to be able to recover like better than that. Like, maybe you're so used to the person hitting that pass where it's like, okay, it's a little bit weird to recover, but man, like, come on, you're the best team in the world. You got to do that, man. And it's not only on Nuno Mendes this goal, because everybody kind of over rotates. So Pacho's getting the guy on the ball, and then Nuno Mendes has to rotate to the guy in front of him. So he leaves two people behind him. And you would prefer one of the midfielders to get back in time and cover one of these central guys, so that way Nuno Mendes can get behind him. But yeah, it's just poor all around. Poor start to the game. Balogun free header in the first minute, and then like it's like a second ball in the air. It just lands favorably for Monaco, and everyone just gets caught in no man's land. And Balogun's through on goal, with Marquinhos just a little bit behind him, and it's like that's Coke Coke butter chicken, Coke butter cheese, whatever they call that. Man, it's just GG. Balogun slots that home, near post. Nice finish. It's nice to see a USMNT success, even if it's against my team. I guess it's a little bit nice. But no, I was very upset at this point, man. And then in the 25th minute, Ousmane Dembele gets subbed off. And, he came into this game injured. But it's like, man, if Dembele is going to come off, like, what's even the point of playing him? You don't want to injure him further. Why not just rest him for the second leg? I don't know. I don't know. I get it though. This is a UCL knockout tie. You put your best 11 out all the time. I get it, but it's just like, man, that all of that in the space of 25 minutes, very very discouraging. But then Due comes on, and it's like a light switch a little bit. He and Barcola combined for this first goal for PSG, which is magnificent pass. Barcola kind of gets it and weaves it between three players, and Doue's in the box, kind of open on the left hand side, and he hits it with his left foot across the post, right in off the right post. And yeah, that was nice. That was a nice pick me up. I'm like, all right, let's do this. Let's get back in the game. And back in the game we were. Due comes in again, hits like this far post curler, kind of like he did against Villa last year. But the goalkeeper saves it, but it gets to Akimi's feet, and Akimi turns it in off the rebound. Very nice finish through, I believe it was Caio Henrique's legs. And yeah, we go into the half 2-2. I'm feeling more optimistic, but still very disappointed in the way we started this game. It was very poor, very unlike us, very unlike PSG under Luis Enrique. And then let's talk about this last goal. Pretty well. First, let's talk about the red card because that kind of changed the game and helped calm our nerves. I think really helped us get into this game and win this game really because we didn't have to worry about Monaco counterattacking as much after that. Vitinha goes in for a loose ball. So does Golovin. Golovin completely late on the challenge. Rakes Vitinha like, I'm sure I do this right. I don't know. But this is Vitinha's leg and Golovin's foot. Cleats, studs come down the leg. Honestly, lucky Vitinha didn't break his leg, man, because that was disgusting. But that's an easy red card. And from there, PSG were in control, really. We're just trying to break down Monaco's low block at that point. And we eventually get it inside to Due, who finishes off his left again. Great cameo from Due. It's not really a cameo. He was in the game for most of the game, 70 minutes or so. So can't say it's a cameo really, but great game from Due. I think the comments that were circulating, like, yeah, we got to put the club first. There were too many individual actions. I think that like PSG fans were saying, like there's just so many actions where people are playing for themselves or playing for their stats rather than passing to a better placed teammate. A lot of people were blaming Due for actions like that, and to respond in this way, you couldn't respond any better. To say, yeah, I hear you, but I don't hear you, right? Like I'm gonna perform better. That's how I'm gonna shut you guys up. And that's what we like to see. That's what we like to see because at the end of the day, PSG wins either way. Now, with that being said, even though this is a great win, 3-2, we probably deserved more, and I really looked for us to leave here with a multiple goal advantage. Those two goals completely avoidable, and it's just upsetting. I think when you look at this team, it feels like they've lost hunger a little bit. I think that's the issue with PSG now. Yes, we won, and but it's like yes, yeah, we won, but Monaco's not the team, to where you're testing your metal. You know what I mean? Monaco's the team you should be beating anyway. It shouldn't be that tough. But like the hunger, the same, thirst on the pitch is not there as it was last year. And that's the difference with PSG this year and last season. The hunger is not the same. And it's always going to be that way whenever you win a bunch of trophies. You win all of the best trophies, right? All of the top trophies. You can ask Man City in 2023, 2024, right? You can ask Madrid in 2023, 2022, 2023. The hunger to do it again, it's not there because you get the sense of comfort when you win a trophy and people are telling you the best, and you have five or so players in the top 10 Ballon d'Or. You have 9 players total in the Ballon d'Or. Everybody's a Ballon d'Or nominee. Vitinha's getting best midfielder in the world shouts. Nuno Mendes, best left back of all time shouts. Best right back of all time shouts from Hakimi. Like all of this praise and these accolades and this success can get to your head, and it can not only get to your head, but it gets to your hunger, right? It's like, it's okay if we lost. I'm still a UCL winner. You know what I mean? It's tough to defeat that. It's tough to draw on something else after you've satisfied that hunger the first time. You gotta have to draw on discipline. And that's tough. That's one of the toughest things to do. I don't know how Luis Enrique is going to get this to work, but if PSG want to make it far in the UCL, I have no doubts you can beat Monaco at home. But I also have no doubts that Monaco can pull off a shock result just because of what we've seen here today. Right? This is not something becoming of a UCL winning team to concede in the first minute and to concede things like 2 goals in 20 minutes like that. It's not what UCL winners do. So if we want to win the UCL this season, we got to draw on something deeper. We might not have the same hunger, but the desire I think is there, right? The desire is there. And I think if we can somehow, draw on, I don't know what, but I think you guys get what I'm trying to say, right? Because the hunger is not there, we have to somehow overcome that and still, perform to the best of our ability and to the level we know we can be at. And it comes in spurts sometimes, like it'll come versus Marseille or those first 15 minutes versus Newcastle. Like you'll see the moments where this team is still playing like, one of the best teams of their generation. But if we can just get to that more often, some way, somehow, I think nobody's gonna want to meet us, man. Look, I think going with the goal advantage back to Paris is huge. Especially considering how this game started. But even if the game was ending up tied, or even if we lost, like if we lost by 1 goal, still expect us to win in Paris, man. It's gonna be a tough game. Monaco came, very well set up. Shout out to Pocagnoli. Balogun feasted on his opportunities. They were very clinical. I think in the stats here, there's 80-20% possession, and obviously the red card helped with that. But Monaco, 2 big chances, 0 big chances missed. We missed all our big chances. We kind of overperformed here. We didn't score from big chances. We scored from very small chances. But that's kind of the PSG way anyway. But yeah, like Monaco come here, come go to Paris clinical as they were tonight. They're gonna have success. They're gonna have success in the capital. So we're gonna have to be more clinical, but obviously, at the end of the day, just play to the best of our ability. Because again, like other teams don't beat PSG. You know what I mean? Outside, it's not an external issue. PSG beats PSG every time. So if PSG doesn't beat itself, if you don't give up a loose ball, if you you know, don't recover, or if you don't, not recover in time, and you counter press right, and you press with intensity, and all these things, right? I can go on and on. PSG should be in a good shape to qualify to the round of 16, and should be looking forward to Barcelona or to Chelsea. And that tie is going to be special. Either way you slice it. I don't know if we're going to win those ties, but they'll be special to watch. With that being said, great day of UCL action. Tomorrow, not so appealing. Less big teams playing, but I think that Bodo Glimt and Inter tie could be intriguing. Maybe hopefully we see some upsets tomorrow. I think that'll be cool. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. It's been your boy Ollie Footy. Until next time, we